I have the perfect idea for a brand new fighting game IP. The sad part is, it'll probably never happen.
What it do, bruh? Talk of the town, Nintendo, Doc Trey, still holding it down, still make the best games, and you know this, bro. It's the truth. If you don't like it, you can have that seatbelt.
Alright, so we are still on the road to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If you are not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So, I have the perfect idea for a brand new fighting game IP that will probably never happen. So, if you're as old as I am, which you probably aren't, you may remember a show during the mid-90s called WMAC Masters. So WMAC Masters was a fictionalized kind of fantasy martial arts tournament where the greatest martial artists in the world all joined this tournament to see who is the greatest living martial artist. And this show, of course, was scripted, much like WWE. Well, maybe a little more than WWE. And it was based around a tournament that all these martial artists came from all over the world to join to win this trophy called the Dragon Star. And whoever was the Dragon Star champion was considered the world's greatest martial artist. Now, during the first season, they kind of made this look like it was a real thing, like a real tournament. I mean, they even had Shannon Lee, which is Bruce Lee's daughter, as the host of the show for a while, for the first season at least. And then the second season kind of drifted more into the fantasy realm. But if you were into martial arts, this was a pretty much fantastic show because even though the premise, of course, was fake, this show really did, at that time, feature literally some of the greatest martial artists in the world. And these people were very gifted martial artists. They had backgrounds in being the actual people in the costumes for the Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, and other movies, other stunt performers, and these pretty good people. They weren't the greatest actors in the world, but they weren't hired for their acting ability. They were hired for their martial arts ability, and the large majority of these people in this, well, all of them, they were pretty amazing. And the choreographed fights were really good, especially for a TV show at the time. Well, this is like the perfect game to be turned into a video game. Now, I've had this idea for this for a long time, but it wasn't until really now that I think that we can make a game like this technology-wise at a decent frame rate and have it actually be good. I mean, because I've had this idea, honestly, since probably the PS3 era. But there's no way the PS3 would have ran the type of game that I'm thinking about here. So, this game is very interesting because a lot of the people on the show have ties to Mortal Kombat. So one of the main stars of the show was Superstar. And you're probably thinking, wow, this guy looks just like Liu Kang. Well, that's because he was Liu Kang. Ho Sung Pak was the motion capture artist for the original Mortal Kombat 1 and Mortal Kombat 2 as Liu Kang. So the reason why he looks just like Liu Kang is because he is Liu Kang, right? But that's not where it ends. There's a lot of other Mortal Kombat references in this show. For example, we have Hakeem the Machine Austin, who actually fought Liu Kang in the first Mortal Kombat movie. And then we also have Chris Casamassa, Red Dragon, who was Scorpion in the original Mortal Kombat movie and also in one of the TV shows. So there's already ties here to Mortal Kombat. Now, it's interesting because The team that I think could do a game like this justice is the Mortal Kombat team. Now, some of the reasons why I would want the Mortal Kombat team to handle a game like this in particular is, one, because they already have ties to some of the people involved with the show due to the Mortal Kombat games and the Mortal Kombat movies, but also because NetherRealm Studios is the only fighting studio that tends to experiment with different kind of gameplay experiences, while most of the other fighting game franchises, like, they pretty much have stuck to the same formula, really. Most of the successful fighting games that aren't Mortal Kombat, most of them have stuck to the same formula for the last few decades, really. They just kind of tinkered here and there, but just made the presentation better. But the Mortal Kombat team is more open to experimenting and trying new things gameplay-wise, even with their story mode. Which brings me to the next reason why I would want the Mortal Kombat team to handle a game like this. Mortal Kombat and Injustice story modes were actually good, unlike other fighting games. Like, the NetherRealm Studios makes the only fighting games that have an actual good single-player story mode. And this show right here went 2 seasons, and it ended at a cliffhanger. The show was doing well, and apparently there was multiple producers on the show that couldn't decide where to go with the 3rd season, and instead of flipping a coin or something, they decided to just end the show. And the show literally ends at a cliffhanger. The guy that was supposed to be like the good guy, the main baby face of the show, ends on season 2 looking like he is actually the bad guy and the mastermind behind a plot to steal the Dragon Star to some secret evil martial arts organization, and the show literally ends like that. So you don't know if he was actually really the bad guy, or if he was just trying to infiltrate, or who knows. But there was no completion to this story. And I think that if NetherRealm made a game about this, they could actually finish the story. So my idea for that is that they could actually recreate most of the story elements, the main story elements from season 2 in Unreal Engine 5. And you actually play the single player, through multiple characters, where they're good and bad, just like they do with the Mortal Kombat and Injustice story modes. And then the part 2 of the story is the ending, which would have been season 3 of the show, which NetherRealm Studios could create themselves. They could get in contact with some of the producers of the show and see what their ideas were for the end of the show, and then pick the best ideas and give some resolution to the end of the story after all these years. And this would be a very easy thing to turn into a video game, because all of the research and development that would normally go into coming up with new characters, coming up with designs, you don't need to do that for this, because it's already there. The fighters already have names. The fighters already have costumes. The fighters already have signature moves. The show already has backgrounds. It already has stages. All they have to do is freaking copy what is there and focus solely on the gameplay mechanics. Now, when it comes to actual game mechanics, if they went in the same direction as the show, this could be one of the most interesting fighting games in decades. Because how the show works, everybody is competing for this Dragon Star. This is like the championship, right? There's one person, male and female actually, that sits at the top of this throne, and they are the Dragon Star champion. But how you become Dragon Star champion is you have to beat a whole bunch of people, right? So everybody gets what's called a Dragon Star belt, and it has a bunch of empty slots on it. I believe it's 10, either 8 to 10 slots. And how you fill up this belt to challenge for the Dragon Star is you compete against the other martial artists. So a regular match will start off with 4 people, and then they're split into 2 groups. And it's a one-on-one thing that actually starts with the beginning of the match. You fight against a whole bunch of ninjas. And everybody, and here's another reason why this is perfect for a video game. During these matches, they have power bars. They literally have power bars on the show. So if they get hit a certain amount of times, or if they do what they consider a bad technique or repeat the same technique, aka cheesing, their power bar will go down, right? So this is perfect for a video game because there's already power bars, and like, it's crazy. So the ninjas that you fight in the beginning could be NPCs in a video game. So you start off with 2 people against each other. There's a bunch of ninjas that are trying to beat up everybody, but these ninjas aren't as good as the main roster, so to speak. Actually, the ninjas are people that are in training at the school to try to become a WMAC master, so they're not as skilled. So you fight against these random ninjas, and they try to get your power bar as low as they can. And then after a set time, which is usually like a couple minutes or a minute or so, the ninjas disappear. The ninjas are called away, and then you go one-on-one to see who can defeat the other person. Then the winner of those matches goes to go against the other winner in what's called the Battle Dome. So picture that as like a martial arts version of a cage match, and you score points by kicking a person or throwing them into the cage, and then there's a set time limit. So that alone right there would be nothing like really any fighting game out there. So when they win those matches, they win the emblem, or they call it the key symbol of the fighter that they beat, and they get to put that in an empty slot in their dragon belt. And once they reach full dragon belt status, that's when they are able to challenge the Dragon Star champion for the title of world's greatest martial artist. And it's a gamble, because if they beat them, of course, they become Dragon Star champion. If they lose, they have to start all the way over. Now, this would be a great online multiplayer match. Especially, they could have like weekly tournaments or something like that, and someone could be the Dragon Star champion for the week, or I don't know, depending on how many people playing this game, for the day even. I don't know. But it would be pretty cool, like, especially with all of these games that are pretty much so Me Too and samey. Like, this would make an excellent fighting game. And I think we finally are at the point where power-wise, this game, based on this TV show, could actually be possible at a decent frame rate. And the fact that this is a dormant IP and not very popular means that, one, a studio like NetherRealm and Warner Brothers should be able to get the license for this pretty cheap. And also, because not that many people know about it, it's going to be considered a brand new IP. But yeah, perfect IP probably never will happen, but I hope it does. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.